Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism in Jamaica and founder and chairman of the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center.
Good afternoon, Minister, and such a pleasure to see you once again. Congratulations on a very successful launch today here of the Global Tourism Resilience Center. What are your aspirations for today?
Well, certainly is to use today as a platform to commence a global dialogue on the importance of building resilience and capacity to respond to global crises of various types. But to focus heavy also on the ability of smaller countries to develop that capacity. And how do we bring the resources of the world to assist in this process, both in terms of the human capital input as well as the financial, and technological input. So this activity today is intended to begin a global campaign. And we want to use the 17th of February every year as a point of crescendo, if you will, where the whole world focuses at that time on what are the next steps, what have been the challenges, and how do we now create capacity to respond to the next wave. Because there are going to be new waves, and that's part of the reality of the human family ever since Anthropocene Earth. We've had crises, we've had disruptions, but the hard cold facts is that civilizations have receded because of their inability to respond to these crises. And countries have been devastated because of their inability to respond. Even in our space in the Caribbean that we can speak about, and you hate to use a reference like Haiti, but Haiti has been a case where disruptions have come by the way of seismic activity, massive earthquake, and the capacity to build back, is so lacking that even now, 15 years after the last mega earthquake, the poor country is still struggling to get back on its feet. And the reality is that unless resourced and or supported, recovery will never happen. So we want for a more equitable recovery in this pandemic. And this pandemic is the real exercise that we need to focus on. How do we get out of it and get out of it together with equity, rather than some of us out and the vast majority of us are still locked into a whole punitive situation where our chances of renewal, our chances of enabling well-being is weak or lost.
You've unveiled today that Amman, the capital of Jordan, will host the next Resilience Centre. Why did you select that location?
Well, one of the good reasons is, of course, that Dr. Talib Rifai is a Jordanian, and he is a huge source of influence and inspiration for the establishment of the Global Tourism Resilience Center. In fact, he's the co-chair with me of the center. So this is a statement of honor too, because it will be called the Talib Rifai Global Tourism and Resilience Center.
We're here at Expo 2020 in Dubai. How important are events like this to connect the public to the private sector?
Well, this is key because the private sector and the public sector are the two engines that enable growth and well-being. And the synthesis and the whole collaboration between the two is what's required for seamless transfers and for seamless action. So we know that public policy has to define the general action of all, and the private sector are the engine for economic growth and for renewal as well as for innovation. And the private sector is about the individual who is not constrained fully, by the bureaucracy that are the feature of the public sector. So they are more nimble and can do things faster and to do it with a high degree of risk as well. So the risk that is needed at this time, governments can't do because they are constrained by public good considerations. And the private sector, on the other hand, is about how high risk can bring high profitability.
Well, some interesting points, Minister. Congratulations on a successful launch today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and bless you.